Apparently, Ogvokers have once more done the nasty. And something has broken. Because, even after all of the nerfs and things that have happened, a group has been able to defeat Mythic Assault of the Sakali in just 30 seconds. And seemingly here, what have we got? We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 100th percentile parses, with the overall damage also being 100. So
I can see that. Yep.
Yeah,
makes sense.
I think something may have broke here. Because, right, here's the deal. Ebon Might is not infinitely stackable anymore. It still can stack up until 4. And that does mean that having 4 Ogvokers is the correct play for damage. But there are some pretty heavy positional requirements to ensure that the correct people actually get their buffs.
And this isn't some positional requirements. This is complete and utter bullshit. This is what it is.
Yes. So I suppose it's best we just walk people through Wowhead's explanation.
The explanation of the multiplicative scaling is one we've done before, but it is basically just all of these things interact with each other in the way that causes quintic scaling, which is just graph go wee. As soon as you add a second thing, no problem. Add a third evoker, fine. Add a fourth one, okay. Add another, it starts to go up far sharper and sharper and sharper, and that going to like a complete obscene level is what happened with the last time this broke with Bicep Pumps Script and the Unholy DK just like killing whatever it was in like 16 seconds. And this is like literally just Blizzard went a little bit too hard with letting these scale crazily, and that's made their mathematics pretty difficult to deal with. And I think they could literally have just like, because they did nerf these, but they could like get rid of the breath thing or get rid of Fate Mirror or put some sort of limiter in the scaling, maybe get rid of the versatility, any one of those, and this problem would basically be gone. And it kind of is, because when you limit the amount of stacking, this stuff doesn't matter anymore. But the one thing is, 4 evoker stacking is fine because it wasn't going to stack on the same people, because that's not how it works anymore. Unless, of course, you're very smart about it. And this is where the positioning requirements come in. So, you could only guarantee 2 targets using prescience, but you can make sure everyone gets all of the buffs imaginable. There's a stack spot for the 4 buff targets, so all 4 in one area. 4 evokers positioned 100 yards away from each other, but within 100 yards of the stack spot, ensuring that the only valid targets were these 4 players, stopping it from spreading out like massively. And then the entire raid's 100 yards away, because they are not valid targets whatsoever, and then you use a summon to teleport them in once they actually put prescience on and put Ebon Might out, which is completely ridiculous. And that's like the problem. When Wowhead here say the ritual circle will not be practical majority of the time, it's like, yeah, this is a tiny workaround that they managed to find that Blizzard could easily say, okay, it's now a 200 yard range.
Yeah.
Or something. Like literally anything could fix this. It's just one tiny oversight that thankfully they caught here, and this wasn't a thing in the next tier, which I think is interesting. But also they definitely need to like figure out how to make this multiplicative scaling a little bit less aggressive, because as pointed out here, this is where the optimal number comes in, either 0 or 4, because it either scales hard enough to be worth it or it doesn't. And that's where they need to like tone it down and spread it out a little bit somehow, which is going to be a difficult math problem for them to solve. But basically, yeah, as Eve says, they found a loophole in the system. We need an Asmin paint, please. No, my paint skills are too good. Too much better. But now we get to talk about what people said about this.
Yeah, because really I don't want to say this is a nothing story, but it's essentially, it's like, an edge case was found.
Yeah.
Then it'll be fixed. This isn't indicative of anything. This is an edge case that circumvented a prior fix. So, assuming this gets patched up, which it's absolutely going to, this is completely a non-issue. Though a lot of people, it's bad for the game for the 50th time. Who could have guessed?
THD Lock wanting to get rid of Augmentation Evoker. What a surprise. I couldn't believe it.
There's plenty, there's a lot of, I don't know if this is when we're fully going to go into it today. There's quite a lot of anti-AUG sentiment in some of the top end of the game.
And I can see why, but it's, I think, short-sighted and unhealthy for the game that they're acting this way. Because it's
one of those things where it's like they risk shutting down the entire like sphere of possibility or whatever. Like this entire sort of gameplay category, it's like that risks being shot down because of some growing pains.
Exactly.
Which, like, there was always going to be growing pains. It's why they were introduced late in the season.
Yeah.
Blizzard perhaps maybe they underestimated just how much like people would actually be pissed off at the sort of like late season, the late season disruption that this has provided.
Yeah, I think that's like they clearly didn't intend this right, and this is where I'm a little bit slightly frustrated because I think they seem to have a handle on basically everything, but again, it seems just they did a little bit of the Blizzard special, which is we're pretty sure we've got this sorted. Let's throw it into the wild. Oh shit, we haven't got this sorted. Which is like they did like this could have been way worse than it was, but it's still like it's the game 1, game 2 thing. Again, realistically, they're kind of throwing caution to the wind, which I love to see, but there's a lot of resistance. But then there's like even Flex is coming in here and just be like, keep Og, make it you can have 2 Ebonite instead of 4. There you go. That's the logical thing, and it's just Blizzard are a little bit too resistant to going to neutering it hard enough. Because I think they want to push, and they're getting that pushback, and they're trying to get like, how far do we need to go before they'll stop pushing back on this? Which I think is like a pretty reasonable way to try and get your thing across. I would disagree if this was a wider player base issue, but I think the issue has been M+ God comps, which has been like that is not an Ogvoker problem in isolation. Vokers didn't help, but it's a Guardian Druid problem. It's a Holy Paladin problem. And as we're going to talk about later today, it is actually a Mythic Plus design problem and a healing design problem more than anything else. Obviously, there's damage elements to it as well, but it's mostly a healing and survivability thing, which rubs up against Mythic Plus's entire nature, which means people saying keep Og, remove M+. That seems like the easier option, to be honest, and the more specifically literally correct one.
Although, that would do so much damage.
I know.
God, that'd be insane.
Yes, I know. I would never advocate for it. But in terms of how do we solve this problem, what's the root of the problem?
Oh yeah.
Ogvoker's not the root of the problem. M+ design's the root of the problem, and there's more issues there than there is with Ogvoker.
Because M+, it's like, M+ is almost like just the more. The way its incentives go with its infinitely scaling difficulty means there is always more power, performance, etc. to be squeezed out.
Yes.
So you're always going to find every single edge case, which is, I guess with like difficulty curves and a lot of severe stuff about like, CCs, immunities, etc. That, they end up becoming... Sorry, I'm trying to think of like a good mental analogy for things. I don't think it's worth going into though, but yeah, no. I can see how it's like it's Mythic Plus that is the thing that exposes all of this. Because if it's Raid, no one really cares if it's like 3 months in or 2 months in. Right? Nobody really cares with Raid. Whereas with Mythic Plus, they're all just like, oh no, we're still trying to top the chart. Because it's the forever game.
Yeah, that's exactly what I meant. That's M+ is exposing all these risks and enforcing like this need for God comps and need for hyper meta all the time. Now there will always be meta in Raid, but it's literally like M+ by the core of what it is going to do that in the same way that like if you're trying to push limits, you'll push limits until it breaks. And what's breaking is the class design. And group comps are breaking before Mythic Plus is breaking. But it's Mythic Plus that's breaking them. And just because of how it's ultimately designed, which isn't, like, that's not a problem, realistically. It's just all of these factors are smashing together in this, like, vortex of, like, I guess, incentives and community and meta and everything's boiling together to make this, like, just this kind of cesspit of things going wrong, I think. But like, I definitely wouldn't get rid of. I wouldn't get rid of M+, and I wouldn't get rid of augmentation. I would just fix the problems because the problems are eminently fixable. That's the thing. People, I wouldn't say I know how to fix them, but you're looking, well, this is a math problem. What's the issue here? The scaling. All right, we'll fix the scaling. Like, it's a really simple answer, but just fix it for it.